Hey, good dag. Great to see you back on the channel. I am forever your host, Bragi, the son of Magnar, and I am a Viking warrior, as well as a Saxon warrior, and I'm also a Scot and a teller of tales. And I can tell poetry, which I've not really done so far on this channel, but I will do in the future. Now today we are going to be discussing and talking about farming in the age of the Anglo-Saxons, which is a very interesting topic and something I'm very interested in, and I'm sure you are too. Now let's just talk about the Saxons. You know, we all know the history. They came over, they was mainly invited, although no doubt some would have came on their own accord. And first of all, there was warriors in the 5th century. But soon they settled. They saw that England had lots of opportunities and was a great place to farm. And equally being an island, that also had its advantages. And as they settled, they farmed, and they took on a kind of an old Briton way of farming. They used what you would call a scratch plough, which would be pulled by oxen, and normally the most average number of oxen pulling one of these ploughs would be 8. For the more power you had, the more power the plough had. And the plough, well, it would have had it'd be a wooden frame, mostly handmade, of course, often using a shaving horse, an axe, like this. And the tip of the plough would be metal, just a mild steel, forged in the fires. And we'll talk about smithing as we go along in this subject and this video. For every farm must have a forge, or must have access to a forge. For you do need equipment, and equipment breaks. And the plough would have been pulled by these 8 oxen, which was the average number of oxen pulling a plough. Rarely would they use a horse. You was more likely to use a horse for riding. And they would dig these furrows, but with the plough being a very basic plough, what it did not do was turn over the furrow. Now that kind of a plough came in the 10th century, where it would plough and dig a furrow but also turn over the soil. And of course you can see ridge and furrow in a lot of English fields, and very local to here. There's a park, a recreational ground you could say, which still has the ridge and plough, ridge and furrow. But I'm losing track. So, what did they farm? Well, the Saxons mostly farmed wheat, and they farmed rye, and of course they farmed barley. And barley had many uses. Barley would be used to collect the oat and feed the animals. They would also collect grass for this, and they would use a scythe, a flat blade on a long handle. You could either have a hand scythe or a double-handed scythe, which would do a much bigger and better job far faster, even than a horse and the modern equivalent of the 19th century. And you'd also, to use a scythe, you have to be very, very fit. Well, I've done it myself, and it is very hard work. And they would also grow crops like beans and peas. It's often something I don't associate with Anglo-Saxon food. But then again, I've been thinking back in my times of reenacting, and I'm pretty certain I've had pea soup on camp, or a pea broth. And you'd also have other crops. You'd have carrots, and you'll grow leeks. And you cannot forget the turnip. And hello Mr. Robin, who is back again whilst I film this. I should put a stick here, you might land on it one day on camera for you. And I'm pretty certain that would be very cool, and a blessing from the god of thunder himself, Thor. And they also had the crop of the onion. laughs out loud for various reasons. One of you will get that. Or maybe all of you. And they also farmed animals. We don't often think about animals being farmed, but they are. They farmed the sheep, for instance. The sheep would have provided milk, milk would have provided cream and cheese. And we all love cheese on this channel. In fact, we are going to do a video soon on about eating bread and cheese. This is often probably the most common food in the Dark Ages, I think. And if that video's out, I'll put it in a card up there for you. I'm looking forward to that video. And they also got the sheep, and they farmed the sheep for the meat, mutton. It is something we like lamb in today's culture, but we don't really eat mutton, and we should do. And of course, the third thing, and I'm pretty sure you can tell me what that third thing they farmed sheep for. The fur. The fur was very useful for linings, for making wool, and of course, you know, you needed sheep wool to make your wool, to make your trousers. And your trousers have got a lot of wool. You know, some say 13 million miles, I heard before. That's a lot of wool. And they would have had a few sheep. And they also farmed cows. Of course, the cow provided milk. We drink lots of milk in today's modern world. I myself love milk. And they also used the meat of the cow. Let's face it, we all like steak and chips. But of course they did not have potatoes. Poor Saxons not having steak and chips. And they also got leather from cows, as well as pigs. But the leather from cows is just exceptional, and they would have used natural vegetable and veg tan to dye the leather. So from growing your crops, you have your rejects which will go into the leather pit, which will in turn dye your leather, and then give you nice leathery things, which I don't really have much on apart from a bolt and my shoes, my boots. And they would also farm horses. Now, you know, you'll think to yourself, do they eat horses, Braggy? Well, no, generally not. I'm certain, no doubt somebody and some folk would have ate horses. And if you're having a bad year and you need some meat on your table and you've got too many horses, well, you know, chop the horse down, preferably in a nice way, and eat your horse. But generally no, the horse was used to pull carts, and of course most importantly it was used to ride. With your horse or your cart you could get around, you could travel, you could take things to market, you could make money, make some silver coin. And other animals they had pigs. Like I said, pigs were used for leather. It is a very fine leather, great for doing the edgings of things. And they would eat pigs, of course, and we all love a bacon sandwich, me especially. So that's pigs. But what else would the farm have? Well, there'll be a longhouse. The longhouse would probably have some outbuildings. Perhaps if you own some slaves, which was often practiced, well, they've got to live somewhere, and I hope they'll eventually be set free. If you had more family living with you on the estate or your farmstead, then you may have another longhouse, and you may have an outbuilding for working in, a wood shop and a forge and blacksmithing shop. Now let's talk about the crafts. Why did you need crafts? Why was blacksmithing and wood skills so important to the farmer? Well, without these skills, and especially the skills of the smith, then you couldn't make no tools. But of course the smith needed the woodworker to make the handles, so often tools were, could not be used without a handle. So the two of them go together. And the farmer, well, he needed tools, and he would most probably have himself a workshop, but not fundamentally be a blacksmith. Often the practice was for somebody to travel. A travelling smithy would go to farm, to farm, to farm, smithing and manufacturing the items the farmer needs. If the farmer, for instance, this summer was going to put a house up, then he would need lots of nails and various other tools. Or if the farmer had the feeling that war was on the way, he might ask for some weapons. Or perhaps he needed an axe or two making. All these tools had to be made, and often the farmer was too busy. And let's talk about wood. One thing we don't talk about on a farm would have been a wood. You needed to harvest your wood, and that would have meant coppicing and pollarding. Now you may be asking, Bragi, what is coppicing? Well, coppicing is where you'll find some hazel or some ash growing naturally, and you'll try to thin it out and take out the good branches, but leave room for more branches to grow. And over time, over generations, if you coppice the wood, you'll have a fantastic wood for coppicing and a valuable source for handles and fence posts and posts for your houses. And of course the Saxons would have manipulated the wood as it was grown to shape it. Now, for instance, if you wanted to make a Saxon lyre, a string instrument, you'd have to form a piece of wood going over this way and bending over. And this would have taken time, this would have taken years. So a Saxon woodworker who made lyres, the musical instrument, he would have copied it ahead and planned. You don't start making lyres and expect to find the wood you want straight away. It takes some years for that wood to grow. So you have that. And before we finish, let's just talk about some of the other animals I've not talked about. We're not talking about goats. Goats were also a valuable source of meat and milk, and also for fur. Makes a very nice fur-lined cloak, does goat. And of course they would have had chickens. Yes, chickens were valuable. Chickens provided eggs. Eggs were used in cooking. Of course we all love a boiled egg and a bit of bread. And lastly, they would have had a pond and they would have had ducks. And hopefully one of the ducks would not have been the duck of evil. Thankfully, not. And they would have had ducks, and they would have naturally ate ducks, but also collected the eggs. So this is a brief overview of farming. It's not the type of video I do often. I am not the archaeologist like Egil. And perhaps if I may make a part 2 to this video, and take it at the end where I talk about and with Egil about farming. So for now, Bragi, was hail. Please leave your comments and subscribe to the channel.